it's Alma. This is my first ever YouTube video. Hopefully the quality's okay. I'm just kind of filming on my iPhone on a really stupid setup. I've got like a bunch of boxes and stuff leaned against my bedroom wall. Yeah, so I thought I'd kind of kickstart my videos with a paranormal vlog. All I watch on YouTube is kind of paranormal stories, any vlogs, any kind of experience people have had, any kind of historic kind of spooky tales, or any videos, even if they're fake. Come on, they're fun. Like spooky photos, everything like that. I'm pretty obsessed, and I always scare myself, which I kind of regret later, but I am pretty obsessed with the paranormal. So I have written down quite a few stories that I can remember in my fuzzy notebook. I'm pretty sure I'll remember some more as we get started. So most of my stories, some of the ones I'm going to share with you today anyway, are based at my parents' house. I don't live with my parents. They live in the middle of the country. Just a bit of a background. They live in the middle of the country in like a really quiet village in like a little valley. So in the night it's always really quiet apart from the odd animal or anything. And obviously where I live now, I kind of live on a main road, so it's a bit noisy. And my family is pretty susceptible to the paranormal. Me personally, I always get the noises, I always kind of hear them. I've very rarely seen anything, maybe only once or twice, you know, kind of sometimes in my head, you know, when something happens you get a picture of someone or something. Anyway, my mum though is very susceptible to things. She hears things, she sees things, she kind of has precognitive dreams, which I get. I used to get them more than I do now. But yeah, there was a time when I was in college a few years back. She was just attracting everything into the house. She like became like a bit of a magnet for a period of time. It's really weird. You know, nothing sinister though, just kind of spooky. So the first story I want to share with you is because I can remember this happening to me almost every night, like way back. Like, shut up! Someone keeps beeping their horn. I was trying to start making this video like 3 times, and someone was beeping their horn up and down the road. I think the kids have come out of school and they're winding up cars. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I can remember this happening. I mean, we moved into where my parents live now when I was 4. And I can remember this happening in that house, you know, as long as I can kind of remember living there, in a way. It still happens to me now and again when I go back to stay, like when I go stay the night sometimes. So as you know, it's always quiet there. It always has been, still is, always really quiet in the night time. So I would hear voices and occasionally singing as well. The voices kind of differed in like kind of pitch and like the amount of people it sounded like were trying to kind of get my attention. But it sounded like it was kind of coming from the next room, so it was always kind of a bit muffled and I could never really make much sense out of it. So mainly it would sound like there was a huge group of people just all talking at once, all trying to, you know, tell me something or ask me something and stuff like this. And I just thought it was normal. I really did. And then, you know, some nights it would be like there was a couple of people talking kind of at me or to me, and sometimes it'd be like they were talking amongst themselves, and like it was like a calmer kind of chatter, you know, or you know, like maybe you get like a quiet party kind of chatter, and so I remember I was probably about 6 or 7. I asked my sister, my older sister, I asked her if she had kind of trouble sleeping, like if she ever heard voices like in the night when, you know, you're all relaxed and quiet and just kind of trying to get into the state of relaxing to go to sleep. And she was like, no. Do you hear people talking? Like, do you hear voices? And I said, yeah. Doesn't everyone? Like, she was like, well, I don't hear voices in the night at all, like in my head or otherwise. And I was like, oh, okay. So I kind of asked my mum, because my mum's quite kind of open-minded and stuff like that. And, you know, she said, well, you know, have you tried maybe listening to them, trying to make some sense out of what they're saying, what they're asking? And I said, no, because they all kind of talk over each other, and they kind of, sometimes they're shouting, you know, like over each other, like try and get my attention, or, you know, sometimes they're talking amongst themselves, so I know that they're not trying to talk to me or anything. And I said it's hard to make out anything they say, because they always sound like they're from a couple of rooms away. They always sound quite muffled. So my mum said, well, you know, if you don't want them, if you don't want to hear it, you kind of have to just say, or maybe think, just kind of, you know, this is my time, I'm going to sleep, please don't bother me now, I can't help you right now, you know. So it's like, okay. So I tried that a couple of times, and you know, it still kind of kept happening, but it kind of calmed down, so they weren't so much kind of talking over another to try and kind of get my attention. They were just kind of maybe talking amongst themselves, or trying to talk, not so much shouting anymore, which was good. And I remember one time specifically, this was only maybe a few years ago. I was probably a teenager, so yeah, way back then. I was still living with my mum and dad. I know that my boyfriend was living with us, and I was on my own in my room, and I'd just kind of gone to bed, and I was just kind of laying there chilling out, like when it normally happens, and I heard what sounded like a man and a woman in like the next room, still muffled, singing. And it really like kind of, it made me laugh, and I was like listening intently for a little while too, because it was so funny. And it was like a really friendly, it was like the two of them were kind of doing a duet for a laugh, but they were kind of giggling about it as well. And I don't know what they were singing. I don't know the tune, I couldn't really hear the words or anything, but they were having a little laugh, and they were taking it in turns to sing, and they were kind of singing together, and it was like a nice kind of happy tune. So that was like a really good experience. I really enjoyed that. So it doesn't happen as often now, which is kind of sad, but because, you know, I just always thought it was normal for people to kind of chat or try and get your attention or something. And I know sometimes it was annoying because when they were shouting at once, but after kind of they calmed down a little bit. But yeah, I get it sometimes. I don't get it here ever at home, because I think it's too noisy, to be fair, which is kind of sad, because there's always cars going up and down, there's always people out late at night shouting down the street and stuff, so I think I've got used to that now. But no, that was always really fun. Oh, another really quick, because I'm keeping an eye on the time here, it's like coming up to 10 minutes. Another quick little story. This is good actually, because then I can make like a whole series of paranormal vlogs. Hope that wasn't too long-winded, that story, by the way. Anyway, the next one was when I was living with my parents and my boyfriend lived with us again. So it was one morning, yeah, my boyfriend had gone to work. So my dad had gone to work, and I think my mum was at home, but she was in her room, which was kind of down the hall and round a little corner from like my room, and it was in bed. My bed, so like when you sat up in bed you could see the doorway, so I was just lying down in bed and everything, and I heard a woman like whisper my name but really loud, and she said it in a way that, you know, made me think, oh, I'm late for something, or I've overslept or something like this. So it was like, Alma. Like, and I was like, oh, what? It kind of, had my eyes shut, but I got this really strong image in my head of a woman, and she was quite tall, and she was kind of standing in the doorway with her hands, sorry, you can't see my hands, like resting her hands against the door frame, just like kind of leaning in, because I always kept my door kind of open, just kind of leaning in. She was wearing like a kind of nightgown or a dressing gown, but it was really long and it was like pale, and she had really curly, like kind of longish, like browny orange hair, leaning in the doorway, kind of looking at me, Alma. And I woke up, I looked in the doorway, and I actually went, oh, what? This. And I realised, like, because I thought it was a little bad dream, my mum had woken me up, and I was like, oh, what have I forgot? And kind of woke up properly, and I was like, what was that? That was really strange. So I was thinking in my head, what day is it? What day is it? I didn't have to go to work. I don't think, I wasn't at uni at the time or anything, so I didn't have to go to uni. I didn't really have to do anything. Nothing happening. So when my mum got up, I told her, and mum was like, okay, well, you know, she doesn't sound familiar or anything. I don't know who that is, or, you know, this day is not significant or anything. You know, nothing's happening today, and nothing did happen that day. It was just some lady. The weird thing is, though, I told my boyfriend that night that someone had like kind of called me, but I didn't describe how or what she sounded like, or the fact that it was a woman either, and I didn't tell him like what she looked like or anything, because my boyfriend's quite susceptible to that, to like paranormal as well, but he just kind of thinks it's the norm. He just kind of, oh yeah, goes along with it. He's not like obsessed like I am and like wanting to know every single detail. So a few days later at the weekend, we were like sleeping in the morning, and it was around the same kind of time as well, so it's like kind of earlyish morning, and I was pretty much awake. I was just kind of lying there, just chilling out, and he was like dead asleep on his back. Sorry, I'm not going to demonstrate, it was on his back, and all of a sudden he bolts upright and goes, what? And I was like, kind of looked at him like, oh my god, what? What did you hear? And he's like, oh, and he kind of woke up a bit more, and he was like, oh god, that gave me a fright. And I was like, what gave you a fright? I said, I was awake, I just saw you bolt upright and go, what? And he said, someone just called my name. And I was like, really? Like, how, like, what did it sound like? And he said, it sounded like a woman, but she was kind of whispering it in a really loud way. Like, he said it was like someone was trying to wake me up because I'd forgotten something. And I was like, oh my god. He said, this is what I was talking about the other morning. And I did the voice. I was like, you know, did she sound like she was like a pen, like this? And he's like, yeah, Yeah, it's like, he said, I swear someone was leaning in the doorway and just like kind of really loudly whispered my name, like trying to wake me up. And he was like, oh, I'm worried now. Have I forgotten anything? And, you know, he hadn't forgotten anything, didn't need to do anything that day. Nothing happened that day either. It was just really weird. I don't think, you know, he said it was kind of it was a female voice, and there was kind of a figure in the doorway, like with hands resting against the door frame, like leaning in, just as the door was kind of a little bit open. Yeah, and I don't think he knew kind of the details like I did, like what she was wearing and what her hair looked like. But that was weird, and then that never happened again. It was just the one. So I don't know if it's something just passing through or visiting or anything. But no one. My mum and dad just lived in the house at that time. My sister had moved out, so even if my sister had been there, I probably wouldn't have told her, because she gets really freaked out with like little stories and stuff. Even though stuff has happened to her, still really, she doesn't want to know. But nothing similar like that happened to my parents or anything. So yeah, I don't know what that was. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there now because I've been chatting on for like 16 minutes, and I hope none of that was too long-winded, and hope you enjoyed that, and thank you so much for watching. I will be back with more stories soon. So yeah, thanks again. Bye.